Live from downtown Detroit, home of WDIV and Click on Detroit, Local 4 News at 6 starts now.
Just hours before USA Gymnastics coach John Getter took his own life, it was believed he was in custody, but that wasn't the case. Coming up, what happened, where the confusion was, and why wasn't he in custody already?
The Local 4 defenders uncovering new information about the drunk driving crash involved an on-duty Detroit firefighter. We're also getting a better idea of the timeline of events following that crash of a Detroit fire engine into a parked car.
Yeah, Detroit Fire Department admits a firefighter was driving drunk on an emergency run this past Sunday. But Detroit police confirmed to Local 4 defenders that DFD did not report the incident to them until Wednesday, which happens to be the day the defenders started asking questions about it. Meantime, Sean Lay hearing from sources inside the fire department who say that drinking on the job is far from a rare occurrence.
As this controversy rages on about an on-duty Detroit firefighter driving drunk behind the wheel of a fire engine, now some Detroit firefighters are coming forward to the Local 4 defenders with what they know about so-called on-duty drinking. And our Local 4 legal analyst says the whole thing could be opening the city up to some big-time legal problems.
It's horrifying. Those rigs are like tanks.
Local 4 legal analyst Neil Rockine reacting to a Detroit firefighter driving drunk on the way to an emergency this past Sunday night. He says the entire crew, of course, has to be ready to save lives, and the driver of the rig has to be absolutely sharp.
Anyone driving one of those trucks, which is like a missile, is compromised in some way, shape, or form by the consumption of alcohol. Then they're putting additional people at risk.
Detroit firefighters are constantly on the run, constantly saving lives and property and having to deal with so much stress. And members of the firefighters union says this one incident does not show that the department has an alcohol problem. But now, on-duty firefighters, their identities confirmed by the Local 4 defenders, reaching out to us to say, quote, I am a firefighter for the city of Detroit. All of the information is completely correct. We need a change as a department. Our guys are routinely drunk on calls. Another confirmed Detroit firefighter writes, I am not saying all firefighters are bad, but they have a lot who party at work. The department's new chief, Robert Shinsky, we're told he's heading up the investigation into the firefighter driving drunk, but members of his own department point out Shinsky was suspended from the department in 2017 after being caught on camera parking a Detroit fire vehicle outside of a bar in Dearborn and entering the bar. Local 4 tried to ask Shinsky about that incident back then.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself.
Detroit's fire commissioner vows to investigate the retirement and promotions party at Engine 50 last Sunday that led to the firefighter driving drunk. Neil Rockine says the city is opening itself up to big-time legal trouble if it has known about on-duty drinking and hasn't addressed the alleged problem.
The fact that you're uncovering this now, that you're exposing it, and it's gotten to you, that doesn't mean it's new. That most likely means that it's reached such a crescendo that it's bubbling over the top.
It's also important to point out that Fire Commissioner Eric Jones says he wants to do an environmental study of Engine 50, where that party was held, to find out if there's a culture of drinking, what's causing it, and to put a stop to it. Sean Lay, Local 4 Defenders.
Okay, Sean. There's some rain in our forecast as we start the weekend here.
Some wet weather arriving overnight, it looks like. Let's check in with him.
Yeah, guys, we could already see it on the radar. It's down here to the south, but some of those returns that you're seeing in northern Ohio, though, does not look like that is actually making it to the ground. Toledo actually reporting partly cloudy skies, dry in Lima, and also Fort Wayne reporting just cloudy skies. Muncie and Indy is where that shower activity is actually reaching the surface, but it will be here tonight. In fact, we'll probably see it begin around the midnight hour tonight. So we're in for some rain. If you're heading up north, there's going to be some snow there from Alpena back towards Gaylord. So we'll track all of that, look at the timing of it and the temperatures, which will be sliding to close to our overnight lows here by midnight. I think that we'll probably see that 33-degree number at midnight still dry, but we'll be talking about when that rain shows up and the warm temperatures to follow in just a few minutes, guys.
All right, Ben. Today's coronavirus headlines. We have learned when Detroit students will be back in the classroom as a third vaccine is now recommended for emergency use authorization.
Detroit classrooms will reopen to K through 12 students beginning March 8th. The district is giving students and families the option of in-person or online learning. Within the past hour, the FDA's advisory panel has endorsed the single-dose Johnson & Johnson vaccine. Johnson & Johnson says it has 4 million doses ready to ship immediately. Meanwhile, the state fined 23 employers, including a Port Huron hospital and Adrian Prison, for violating COVID safety protocols. And in today's virus numbers, the state reports 1,073 new cases and 1 additional death.
A 37-page document details some of the disturbing allegations against former USA Gymnastics coach John Geddert, who died by suicide yesterday. Geddert is accused of forcing gymnasts to practice or compete with broken bones and torn muscles and tendons. Victims allege Geddert was also psychologically abusive, keeping a list of who he called a fat club, and even telling gymnasts to take their own lives. One alleged victim accuses Geddert of sexual assault in a locker room when she was 14, describing it as a punishment for not performing up to his standards. Now, in the wake of Geddert's suicide, many are asking, given the serious nature of the charges, why was Geddert given the option of turning himself in rather than police bringing him into custody? Grant Herms is following that part of the story, and let's look at what happened. Not bringing Geddert in does seem like a mistake, though legal experts, Grant, say otherwise.
Right, Devin. Legal experts say it's exceedingly common for defendants to turn themselves in. It's based on the idea that everyone is innocent until proven guilty, and they'll make that happen as long as they're not at risk of flight. Authorities today saying that they just had no way of knowing Geddert would take his own life.
During her press conference Thursday, Attorney General Dana Nessel telling reporters Geddert was in custody and set to be arraigned over video.
My understanding is that he has turned himself in and that he is scheduled to be arraigned today at 2:15.
In a statement Friday, a spokesperson for Nessel correcting that. There was some miscommunication prior to the press conference. We were told Geddert was on his way to the sheriff's substation. We later found out he did not turn himself in. That same spokesperson adding the decision to have Geddert turn himself in was standard procedure, writing, quote, "We had no indication that Geddert intended to flee or hurt himself or others. We had been in contact with his attorney and were assured of his cooperation."
People turn themselves in federal prison after sentences. People, particularly even nowadays with Zoom technology, are ordered to leave the comfort of a home and go report to the jail within 24 or 48 hours, and they do it.
Attorney Neil Rockhind said the decision to allow Geddert to turn himself in is the norm, and how he was to surrender was likely worked out between attorneys and the court.
I have reason to believe that the police had been in communication with his counsel, and he had been notified. So I doubt anybody along the way had a sign that this man was going to pose a risk of harm.
The Attorney General's office said they didn't have any further comments citing the MSP investigation into Geddert's suicide. And we should say there are resources for sexual assault survivors and those thinking about suicide. Devin, we have those resources on clickondetroit.com.
Exactly right. And Grant, this is the end, though, for many athletes who may have been hoping to tell their stories in court. Any likelihood that that could somehow still happen?
Simply put here, Devin, no. Michigan does not allow somebody to be tried after their death, so this case will undoubtedly be dismissed in court.
It's going to lead to quite a bit of anger, no doubt. All right, Grant.
Tragic new details today in a deadly crash we first told you about Tuesday night. A collision between two cars at an intersection in Westland caused one of them to burst into flames, killing the woman behind the wheel. Larry Spruill is live with what was revealed today about the other driver. Larry, we now know that alcohol did play a factor in this crash.
Yeah, Kimberly, police say the driver was driving while drunk, and that's just one of the charges he's now facing. But what's the shocking part about all of this is that this is not the first time he's been accused of driving while intoxicated.
Please state your name for the record, sir.
Philippe Ferguson. This man, 33-year-old Philippe Ferguson, is in some serious trouble. Police say he was allegedly driving this white Chevy Camaro that killed 49-year-old Shane Ratliff from Romulus earlier this week. Westland police say the accident happened near the intersection of Van Born and Henry Ruff Roads. Friday, the driver Philippe Ferguson faced a judge. He told the judge he's not guilty. but he's still facing several charges.
Your client is here today charged with 11 felony counts.
We're talking about homicide, murder, second degree, operating with the high blood alcohol content causing death with a prior conviction, reckless driving causing death, operating while license suspended, and several weapons charges. But that's not it. The judge says this is his fourth drinking and driving offense, even calling him a menace to society. The judge gave him a $500,000 bond. And he's due back in court on March the 11th. We're live tonight. Larry Spruill, Local 4.
Yeah, okay, Larry, thank you.
Now a Local 4 News update. A Fraser man sentenced for throwing a deadly punch inside a St. Clair Shores bar. Hayden McCrawy stood and listened today as the judge sentenced him for punching Sean Kubik at the Capone Sports Tavern back in 2019. Despite the pleas from Kubik's family, the judge handed down a sentence of 8 to 15 years in prison, which is 2 years shy of the max.
It's clear to everyone that has seen the video evidence for Capone's bar that Hayden and his friends planned this attack on Sean. This was no accident, Hayden, and you know it.
Crowley is a menace to society and is clearly a threat. He has a record. He will do something like this again. He has nothing more than scum off the back of my shoe.
Second-degree murder charge was dismissed earlier after testimony from the medical examiner who said Kubik died because of his head hitting the floor and not from the punch itself. Rod?
New at 6.
Well, they're battling in Lansing over the budget to begin with.
So it isn't fair the way they're distributing it.
This is not about race or social justice.
But now they're also talking about how the vaccine gets distributed across the state, and it's gotten ugly. We'll have full details.